Do penguins have teeth? We looked it up. Not really. So penguins do not have teeth. This is the important questions that are asked in the pre-start of Beyond All Reason. One of the more tame potential questions. Another question that's asked all the time, no matter beginning of the game, bird-oriented, otherwise, is when do you get tier 2? When do you get that tier 2 tech, that 2,900 metal investment, and get to the next level of tech? And the answer you're always going to get at the end of the day is it depends. It depends. But this is a game, another commentary where I end up getting tier 2 pretty ridiculously early. And it's because I'm able to pick up a ton of metal from salvage early on from the enemy commander, essentially throwing themselves at me, or I believe we trade. I'm not sure exactly. I just remember this game. I got tier 2. It wasn't great, but it was quick enough for me to translate that into a lot more past it. So, if you guys enjoy the commentary on Beyond All Reason, I know a lot of people overall of anything for Beyond All Reason in general been enjoying the commentary on some of my games. Be awesome. You smash the like button or dislike, or whatever strikes you. If we can get 473 likes on this video, then we'll line up another guide and commentary. I know we got more casts from the 4v4 tournament coming up, all that, but I'll try to break it down a bit. While overall I've had a tough go of it when it comes to actually ranking up in the game, I feel like I understand more and more as time goes on what I've really gotten better at. Oh yeah, a few things. I want to talk about a few things. So one, if you actually want to follow through on this, you're going to have to go to the Discord. Okay? I'm talking about widgets. So here are all the widgets in the game. You guys like widgets? I like widgets. Now, a lot of these are built in. A lot of these are actually just in the settings menu. But I've added a couple widgets to the game, which you can do. It's just a luau file, LUA file. I don't know what it stands for, to be honest. It's not that hard to set up, but you can check it out on the bar Discord, which are large health bars, priority construction turrets, and reclaim field highlight, as well as select units weapon range. So the big health bar is pretty self-explanatory. Big bars on everything. Really nice. I should have added it earlier. Reclaim field, well, you'll see that coming up. Priority construction turrets means that if there's a construction turret in range, your construction turrets will go to it. All the widgets and everything is legal. It can be used. They're updated. Anyone can use them. Now, of course, we can have a debate on whether they are too much or too little or whatever, but remember, this is a free-to-play open source game. It's made by people essentially just building a bunch of widgets on top of each other, and that's what the game is built of. So, and I find these make it either easier or more efficient to play, and really contributed to this game in particular. This is one of the first games I was playing with them. So, a key part of Bismuth Valley, it's a lane map, so that means you got to get out in your lane. I'm starting out, bunch of grunts heading out, sending the commander out after 3 or 4 solar panels. Even though wind is technically efficient at 11, you have 1,000 metal and not much energy to start. So I usually like making 3 or 4 solar panels, and then once the wind starts getting low, then, not the wind, when the metal starts getting low, that's when you move out with the commander, because the commander doesn't have much else to do back at home once you kind of exhaust those resources. So we ended up with like 1 grunt, 3 or 4 constructors, and then just grunts until we figure out what's happening. And so at this stage, I've taken all my mexes. I see that my lane opponents are distracted. You can see on the mini-map up there that my teammate doing a good job of keeping them busy. And I'll be honest, I look and I see that the lane opponents are both... They're not the highest level players on the team. Those are in mid. I started kind of looking at it. So that means there's just 1 commander here. We've already scouted. There's only 1 commander here. It's worth a trade, in my opinion. Even whether now or after the update coming. By the way, there's an update, potentially, 2 commanders where they're going to be worth less metal. Down from 2k to 1.2. Wait, I mean, I'm not actually sure. This might be with that update. But that commander is really far up. And if we're in this position and the commanders destroy each other, he walks up, D-guns the turret. But I think it's worth a trade because it's very likely that we will be able to reclaim most of the metal if there are 2 of us here to just one of them. So you got to think about, like, assuming the commanders explode, who's left? Essentially. Though the new update may include commander explosion drop-off, so not nearly as many things will be destroyed. But at this point, he's committed. And this will happen. I think I actually want to... I've been thinking about this. You guys can tell me. But the cursor light, I like it, but I think it's a bit much right now. Like, just tone it down a bit. I think it's very helpful, actually, but I've seen some recommendations about the eye tracker as well. But I see the radius, and boom, there you go. And then, of course, ping dramatically for Comrade Carl to come in and help out. I intentionally moved my grunts back when I saw that was happening. Honestly, probably a mistake from him to move that far out, but a lot of players will make that mistake. So I'm going to go to resource mode here. In that, I'm just going to pause for a sec here. So this is the reclaim field highlight. It essentially tells you. Now, you could do the same thing by just dragging like this. So it is just another way of interpreting that information. But I find it very useful for figuring out exactly which parts of the map you want to focus on reclaiming. And obviously here with 2 commanders on the ground and anything else, 4.5 thousand metal. So the summary is, okay, there's 4k metal on the ground. I'm probably going to get a bunch of it. How are we going to handle this? And I'll tell you right now, I don't handle it well. I handle it, but I don't handle it well. What I think is the best option is to continue to produce units. And in general, I got a metal storage back at home as soon as the commanders are dying. I'm using my constructors to boost production, though I haven't been adding on too much energy. So this is kind of me somewhat angry coaching myself, like, you can do a lot better than this. I actually stop reclaiming. I'm just trying to spend it. Like, I'm trying to get rid of it. There's barely any construction turrets at home. I sent some to Snoopa, who's the highest level. You might know him, he's a streamer from Age of Empires. He's been playing in a lot of the games as well. Solid already at Beyond All Reason, obviously. So, pretty much what I did is I picked out players who were hurting for metal, and I sent them metal, because I started overflowing. Otherwise, it gets distributed across your team, which is fine, but it's better if you have a target for it. Like, a lot of my team, you can see the bars over here, and you can see this while you're playing. They have plenty of metal. Pretty much everything but Shiba, who's probably doing his 28-minute macro build. But so I start the tier 2. If you have over 2k metal, and you're not losing the lane, I think there's no reason not to get tier 2. The real struggle here is I don't have build power. I don't have any construction turrets. So build power and the ability to essentially jam your resources into a building is lacking very much here, because I really did focus on getting those units out there and winning the lane, and I succeeded at winning the lane, even though it cost the commander. But yeah, we got the vast, overwhelming majority, if not all, the metal. But what would I do different? Well, you know, that's actually, I'm looking at it, and the tier 2 is obviously a fine call, but it would have been nice to have at least 1 or 2 more construction turrets before getting the tier 2. It's not like the metal was going anywhere. I was going to have about 4k, so probably should have invested in 1 or 2 more construction turrets, or just boosted out. Also, another thing is, even if you have the metal, you need the energy. Usually energy isn't an issue, but 300 energy is like the bare minimum just to build the tier 2 stuff. Usually energy shouldn't be a limiting factor for the most part, if you're keeping up on continually building energy producers, like maybe 6 or 7. I'm only building this many solar panels because I have so much metal. Like, and this is a big mistake here, though, what I'm doing. I'm going like 7 different directions. Even though you can do that, it's not like StarCraft. Like, every second you spend your metal. Every second you're spending a certain amount through your build power. Whether it's building more units or buildings. So, I'm essentially going 8 different directions, slowly, instead of 1 or 2 directions, quickly. And it's stretching all the resources thinly. So, and I even salvage the bot lab, which was completely unnecessary. I'm giving up a lot of my advantage here in order to rush out the tier 2 constructor. So that essentially lets them get back into the lane. Comrade Carl, I believe I said something in chat about just hold it down, I'm getting tier 2 or something like that, but I could have built some thugs or something to help push the lane and hold at least the halfway mark. But it actually gets really... Don't die, Carl. Oh, that's great commentary. So that's what I say, is don't die. Alright, not... I'm gonna join you in lane soon. That's what I'm thinking. But what it comes out is, don't die, Carl! So... Oh yes, I'm building an air transport in order to move my tier 2 constructor around. Because the construction bot is not the quickest creature in the sea. Or even outside of the sea. I don't believe it can... Well, anyways, so I got 1 fighter and a air transport, and now I'm salvaging. I was going to give my teammate, Carl there... You see, this is why you gotta communicate me. And so, like, come on, say something. Something. Like, let's not pretend you're using 500 APM on your build order. It's not that, like, obviously it's not even efficient. You could have spent 4 seconds typing, saying, I'll give you T2. And now both me and Carl have invested in tier 2 instead of pressing our advantage. If Carl had continued producing, or I had continued producing, then we would have probably been, like, here. At least well over halfway on the top lane. And both still had the ability to get the same amount of economy. But instead, we have very tenuous hold on top and barely any unit production. We're both going for tier 2, which is 1 player going tier 2 and handing off a constructor for the 4 times income advanced metal extractors is an order of magnitude more efficient than spending 2,000. So think about it. Think about it. Think about math. Okay, don't get scared. All right. Did we add +1 like to the likes? Did you subscribe for the commentary that you're listening to? Like, Winter, this is all very interesting. I'm going to forget 90% of it when I play. Or, alternatively, eventually I'll play and I'll have forgotten all of it. But I love the idea, and it sounds like you're talking about a lot of great things. Anyways, so, I forgot what I was trying to say. Math. Okay. So, the tier 2 lab, 2,900. The constructor is, actually 400, so let's say 500. So it's 3,400. And then the tier 2 metal extractor itself. Oh my god, just turn off the barricade. Is 600. So, very roughly 4,000 metal before you get a single scrap of metal back. So if you have 2 players doing that, and so if you have 1 player doing that, you cut out the 2,900 and the 500. Though it is kind of customary for players to trade you that metal. Essentially, what should have happened here when we won that commander fight was I probably should have gone tier 2, and Carl, I should have said, Carl, units, lots of units, and just hold that line, because I'm probably the better macro player, just based on rank, and also because I'm me. Thank you very much. Oh, you can see the range circles. I've done a lot of customizing on the widgets and stuff. Maybe if there's a huge amount of interest, I'll do a video on it, but there's plenty of information on the bar Discord there. I like the transparent but edge of the circle range indicators. Also very nice for things like Sheldon's. But, so, I go tier 2. Carl continues really pushing and holding the line. I clean up that build order. I still like the air transport, but I probably could have gotten one from someone else. So a little bit of team coordination goes a long way in making it so instead of getting slowly pushed, we're in a good spot to push with the Sheldons. So the Sheldons are your kind of ultimate early tier 2 unit. My objective right now, besides shoring up the economy, is to use the Sheldons alongside Radar Jammer to outrange everything. There's nothing they have that can close the distance on Sheldons, realistically. Especially if I build... So pretty much like 10 Sheldons, and then make sure I have a Radar Jammer. I'm using Twitcher combat engineers, by the way, to add the build power. So essentially you're hiring the tier 2 constructor. It's the only one that has the contract for the metal extractor. Okay, you're hiring it for the contract. It doesn't need to build it all itself. In fact, it's better if it doesn't. But you have the other workers, the more mobile ones like Twitchers, or just basic constructors, construction turrets. They can do the heavy lifting. But the contractor, the tier 2 constructor, that's why we have the air transport and all that. I'm even getting real fancy, bringing out some construction turrets to the front. So now the push begins. The reason I don't go before the Radar Jammer, if I have the opportunity, is very simply like just a low amount of Sheldons. All they do is tickle. Like if you're starting to attack before like 5 Sheldons, they're just going to get annoyed and maybe run over and kill you. If we were getting pushed, I'd have built a lot more Fiends. You usually want... I try to do like a... Though the death ball is like 20 Sheldons. More than that, and it's probably just a liability. Less than that, like less than 10 though, and you're not doing enough damage to really push quickly. I find the money number is about 20 Sheldons, and then you're filling in front line and things to buffer. Ideally, you're also doing that while you're developing the economy back at home. Like I brought the transport back, because here's what I'm expecting. Is I'm expecting to push forward, get a little reclaim, and also I'm at 80 metal income per second without any reclaim, which is pretty amazing. So that's about as good as like your mid-game's gonna get, because I've actually filled out all the advanced metal extractors. Over 50, and you can really start thinking about fusion. Well over 50, or a lot of reclaim, you should have already probably started building a fusion, I would think. So I'm using the set target command in order to fire at ground, because those are being jammed right now, but I know where they are. Units won't necessarily automatically fire at turrets unless you... So essentially I'm doing an attack ground command in order to take those out. And then I'm pressing the stop command to stop them setting that target on the ground. That is different than setting target on a unit, which will automatically undo itself. And I'm actually not noticing I'm still setting target. If they're not in range of where you set target, yeah, I'm not sure what Carl's doing here. I pulled back in time after I realized Carl was on a suicide mission, but I am not sure what Carl was trying to accomplish. I think Carl maybe wandered a bit far forward. Anyways, so there's that on the ground now. I decide try to take it. He did take out a bit. Yeah, targeting the commander there. Unfortunately, don't quite get it. If I had gotten that commander, it would have blown up those 2 artillery turrets, which they had time to set up. But yeah, you see, without the Fiends, the Sheldons kind of melt. The Blitzers get up in there. At this point, I'm getting kind of rustled up. I'll be honest, I'm like, Carl, what have you done? What have you done, Carl? God damn it, Carl. But I'm just building more Fiends. I'm trying to build back up. Like, I need the front line first. There's no point in having the Sheldons with no front line. And we're building up more. So once I have the fusion and I'm able to produce out of my tier 2 lab, eventually the aircraft plant is kind of like your stretch goal. Not tier 3, not like an advanced fusion, but that's for one, like, you don't know, that there might be some bombers back there. Also, eventually, anti-nuke. Right around, like 15 minutes is the anti-nuke timing if someone's been quiet. And honestly, I haven't been keeping track of whether all their players are on the field. Because you can't just magically get a nuclear missile. It is very expensive. 8,000, wait, is it 8,000? I actually... it's 7,700 for the Cortex version, which is stronger. And 1,500 metal a shot. I believe Armada's like 56. So Cortex nukes are actually larger, from my understanding. But they take longer to build. Okay, so here, Carl now has some fiends for me. But I lost pretty much everything. Because I did not protect my front line to start. So now, I'm not on repeat yet, though I would recommend, if I was to pick a battle group, which is kind of what I call, like, units on repeat, it'd be 5 fiends, a twitcher, a radar bot, and then 10 Sheldons. And then once I get enough Sheldons, I just cut the Sheldons out and the radar bot. The reason why I don't continually build jammer bots on repeat, or twitchers, well, twitchers on repeat aren't bad, but jammer bots cost energy upkeep, radar bots do not. And radar bots have a ton of vision. So having a couple extra is not the end of the world. They don't build very quick, but I like to have a couple. And then if it makes sense, like if they're pushing, definitely maybe some spy bots as well. But at this point, I'm making some progress with the Sheldons. I know it's all been in this lane, but I'm also continually looking, mostly on the minimap, to see if the other lanes are okay. So, and now I see on the minimap something like fast movers, which are clearly aircraft. I actually went for the advanced aircraft plant, which has the tier 2 fighters, which are incredible and only marginally. It's like 100 metal versus 75, and they're like 5 times as good at their job. So it actually is very, very convenient. I just finished the tier 2 aircraft. Otherwise, this would be pretty dangerous. But it's still kind of dangerous. But instead of going for my corner, and the reason I suspected this is there's no pushback at the front, right? Like, that's part of why. But advanced air plant also gives you advanced air constructors, and there are a lot of, like, just in general, having the radar planes. Tier 2 fighters are pretty much all the anti-air you need. Fighters are the best anti-air. Any ground unit for anti-air is not remotely as good. If only both in cost efficiency and in mobility, obviously. So now that part of this as well is if you just made 10, 15 bombers, guess what? You don't have many ground units. You don't. It's math. So I see no reason to kind of hesitate. And here's where the reclaim field widget comes in a lot, is where I prioritize to reclaim, because I'm building a lot of energy production at home. And this is what I've really been focusing on, just personally trying to improve, is scaling. Like, I can almost always, if I get to this phase of the game, I can win the lane. Because I'm going to have the micro and the APM with the jammers and the Sheldons and all that. I'm going to get the work done. I'm at least going to make a lot of progress. But I have a tendency to not get that last tier, and the most important, like the exponentially scaling tier of energy production, which is the fusions and then the advanced energy converters. Well, technically you can do the small energy converters, but it's more of a space issue on that. And I'm prioritizing that reclaim field. Ideally, I'd be resurrecting with resbots. Oh yeah. So this is the classic, oh, it's going too well, build anti-nuke situation. Which, honestly, if they did go nuke, one, it probably would have already come out. And then top priority target is always the lab. If you can get in range and reliably kill the lab, well, that's 1, 2,900 metal. Gone. And 2, most of their unit production. So that's priority target. If you ever get close enough and you can kill their main lab, you go for it. I think it's worth losing a bunch of units. I mean, ideally, you don't lose all your units. But if you can kill the lab, that makes the next push and the one after much easier. Right now, I'm also building grunts on repeat from the forward lab as just cannon fodder, essentially. But I'm also trying to make sure I have enough in front of the shell that you can kind of see it, like on the mini-map. Oh. So, what I also noticed was they didn't have much anti-air, because I sent my fighters over after that one bombing run. So, I've started adding this in as well. Those are just tier 1 bombers. They're not the tier 2, right? Because the tier 1 bombers can get the job done, and they're actually not that much cheaper. The tier 2 bombers are somewhere like 300 metal versus 200. But the tier 2 bombers have an insanely high build cost. This is... I'm going to pause for a sec, because this is kind of an important concept that is not obvious, but you can actually see on the screen. So, build cost is essentially the amount of build power needed. It's how quickly... Okay, so the Whirlwind Bomber is 5,054. It's the green number on the info tab. 5,054 build cost, which is quite high. Compare that to the Shuriken, 2,000. Fighter, 333. Now, here. Advanced Constructor, 18,000. Fighter, 6,500. Bomber, 31,000. So, even though it's only 3 times the cost of the fighter, it's 6 times the energy. Jimmy, can we get the stats back, please? Did I hold the button down too long? I don't even know what happened. Where's my stat? I don't know what happened. I've never seen this before. We went too deep. Did I hit? I'm trying to figure out what key I hit. Yeah, this is a new one. All right, we'll send this to the dev team here. But, well, good to know. Apparently, I can unpause, so we'll just go to cinematic mode for the rest here. Because I know the game is not too far from over. Oh, I have something selected. Oh, that's fine. Is there a hotkey to get rid of the UI? It's so weird. Kind of crazy. I kind of want to figure out what this is because I like it because it shows the icons without the UI. But also, give me my info back. What in the... Hack Arena. I'll do it live. Anyway, in case you need confirmation, we do it live. Anyways, well, here we are. So, at this stage, what I see is I'm pushing, everybody else is holding. So overall, it's going pretty well. Okay, a couple more tries. And at this stage, I would want to be adding on advanced, advanced fusion reactors, are a key one, as well as eventually tier 3, though I'm not minding the bombers as well. So, yeah, the Sheldons keep getting forced back. It's so important. So I've tried sumos, but I find fiends. Fiends are about 1/3 of the metal cost of sumos, maybe a little bit more. And while they don't have very much HP, they have a great anti-spam potential. And you can self-destruct them for, like, essentially a little bomb as well. So that's quite nice. It's kind of crazy. Can I do everyone cam mode? Nope. I still have no idea what I pressed. Very cinematic, though. I can even change the camera mode. So there are multiple camera modes. You can find the keys in the keys command. But I can't bring up the keys command because it won't let me bring the UI up. Believe me, I tried all the hotkeys. So I'm gonna probably have to Alt F4 out of this. But So this is the spring cam, which is actually super sick that you can do. You can like rotate it around and all that. So unlike other like StarCraft, the reason you can't tilt the camera in certain ways is because the models look, they're not rendered from a certain angle. So like if you went behind the barracks, it just wouldn't look like a barracks really. I mean, it would, but they're designed to be viewed from a certain angle. Whereas what's really cool in Beyond All Reason and the Total Annihilation style games is how the models are like that. So I got to the point, but we got all the good commentary out of the way. This is the most important part, is the looks anyways. Alright, you see the Sheldons there. Their range. So high ground doesn't increase your range, but it does, well, it kind of does. I'm not actually sure how it works, because everything is an actual, like, physical projectile, so maybe it does. I know lasers have less damage drop-off when they have the high ground and all that. Here we see the Hounds. Hounds are a solid early tier 2, but they get outshone. I've been liking the Armada vehicles a lot. We got some Bulls in there. The wreck. So the problem is, if the battle goes on too long, the wreckage actually starts blocking some of the vehicles, which is not like a real concern, but it depends on who's winning, I guess. But yeah, I've pretty much cleared the top lane here. And on lane maps, 90% of the time when this happens and there's no kind of counter damage, like it isn't like a full rotation, then the game is all but over. Players might stick around for a while, but they can essentially roll down from the top and ruin the whole economy. But I hope you guys enjoyed the commentary. I find it really hard to make like specific guides for the game because there are so many little aspects. I personally learn a lot more from kind of just listening to someone, whatever they're doing, like kind of just slowly absorbing a few things at a time. Like, you're not going to get the whole build. You're not going to get every unit composition or micro trick. But you're going to be like, oh, like that one time in Winter's game or someone better, you know. At least that's how I learn. So hopefully you find this at least edutaining. And that was very solid. Unfortunately, we're not going to, unless it just magically pops up now, we're not going to see the stats. I'll have to figure out. You learned something new. I want my money back for this free-to-play game here. But the summary is one or two directions, especially early on. That was such a big mistake for me to do that. And coordinate a little. Like if you're in a lane with someone, it's like bot lane in League of Legends, where if you don't communicate with your partner, you're going to have a bad time. And if you do communicate with your partner, since it's League of Legends, it's very likely you'll also have a bad time. But it slightly reduces the likelihood. And here in Beyond All Reason, I think it dramatically does, especially if you're winning the lane, which most people like doing. So, pick a direction, get it done, coordinate a little with your team, and then push early to take map control back. It ended up being fine since everyone else held, but I thought that was a really solid game for me overall, despite those issues. And I thought it was worth sharing with you guys. So, thank you for watching. 400 and... I don't remember the number. Was it 73? I don't know. We'll say 73 guys. And hopefully you found this edutaining. Hope I made your day a little bit better. I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Stay unreasonable.